Good afternoon, and welcome to another segment of ChildLink's Public Talks, where we discuss various crucial issues. For this month, we've really been focusing on women and some of the things that impact them. So I'm really happy to have with us here today Marlon Grumble and Martina Ho Alim, who will be discussing intimate partner violence, what that looks like, how it might be different from other forms of violent relationships, and some of the ways that persons can really offer support. So, Marlon, Martina, thanks so much for being with us here today. For those who might not be familiar, would you mind introducing yourselves? How about we start with you, Marlon?
Hold on, please. Cause I hardly hearing you.
Oh, okay, no problem at all. So, Martina, would you like to go ahead while Marlon reorients herself? Yeah?
Sure, no problem. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Nicole. Thank you for having me on the program, guys. My name is Martin Holm. Currently, I am a student at the University of Guyana pursuing a degree in psychology. Um, what else do I want to share? I basically, yeah, I'm very passionate about the topic we're about to discuss this afternoon. Haven't witnessed it and uh, encountered it myself. Yeah, I always like to use my experience to shine some light and help others in whatever way I can to get out of it and just make to do something that would get them out of that situation. However way I can inspire them. As I said, I'm very passionate about this particular topic here.
Thanks so much, Martina, and we certainly love passion. Marlon, are you all set to go?
Yes, sir. You hearing me?
Yes.
Hold on. I want first myself. I'm going to start that. So, this topic is very important. I work. I work with uh, my
Marlon, I'm not sure if it might be a problem on my end, but I'm not really getting you. Would you want to check your audio a bit and maybe we can come back? But let's get started for now.
You hearing me?
Yeah, maybe just check your audio and we'll revisit this in a bit. But I really want us to kind of move the conversation along today as we focus on intelligence. So, so Martina, since we start with you and your thoughts around then for understanding of balance and how we can be different from other forms of abuse.
I'm sorry, Akula. Excuse me. You're breaking up. I really did not get anything that you just said. I couldn't make out anything. I'm so sorry about that. Can you please repeat to me?
Of course, no problem. Can you hear me better now? And Marlon, can you mute your mic?
I'm sorry.
Could you hear me now?
Yes. Yes. Yes, I can.
Perfect. Perfect. Great. So seems like we're experiencing some connectivity issues today. We live in the age of technology, but technology is not perfect, but we will try to make our best of it. So I was saying, Martina, what are some of your perspectives or understanding of intimate partner violence and how it can be different from other forms of abuse?
All right. So there are many other forms of abuse. Um, we have abuse where child abuse, animal abuse, but intimate partner violence is basically abuse occurring between spouse or your ex-spouse, your boyfriend, basically the person who you share that intimate relationship with. That is what distinguish intimate partner violence um, from the others. And as I said, it may be you may not be having that intimate relationship with the person, even your ex. You can experience it because oftentimes we hear of stories where the woman she leaves his man and he would attack her and abuse her and hit her so many times. We see headlines like this in the newspaper. That is one form of intimate partner violence. You do not have to be with the person. It could be an ex even. Yeah. So um, you asked me another question, Akula. I'm sorry. I got stuck on what was my take on intimate partner violence. What was the second part of your question?
No, no, you covered it all. So it was basically about your understanding of IPV and how it can be different from other forms of abuse.
Oh,
Did you want to
okay.
add something else to that?
Oh no. I just thought that I answered one part of your question and left out the other
Okay,
part.
no
So I just
problem at
wanted to make
all.
sure I cover that. Yeah.
No problem at all. So you just mentioned that intimate partner violence, typically occurs between persons in a relationship, and abuse is something that is very common in our society. But unfortunately, a lot of persons don't tend to recognize it, given our cultural attitudes around abuse itself. So, what would you say are some of the warning signs that a partner might be abusive?
We just let the little signs slip by because we're like, oh, we're like, oh, that's just him, that's who he is, it's nothing. But a person getting angry for little things, shouting at you, making derogatory remarks, the person you're with, that is a even somebody who's like who gets jealous easily. You're just talking to someone and they don't want you to speak to that person, controlling. All of these are signs of somebody uh, who exhibit intimate partner violence, hinting to you that that may occur then. Sorry for the lack of a better word there. Anything else? Yeah. At the moment, on the top of my head, that's what I can think of. So jealousy, anger issues, those are signs, definitely, that intimate partner violence may occur in the relationship you're with or even after you left that person.
Yes, certainly. Jealousy is often framed as something positive within a relationship. So, how do you necessarily like shift that narrative to say it's not something that you should, make an ideal part of your relationship? What would you suggest to that?
Definitely not. Nobody. I mean, persons. I've heard people making comment, men saying that, oh, the woman tell them that because you don't hit me, you don't love me. And I just think that this is something because you would have grown up in home and being exposed to certain behavior. You think it's normal, but we need to start spreading awareness as to these repulsive behavior, and it's not acceptable actually. As it relates to jealousy, I would definitely say that's a no. That's you don't want to encourage your this sort of behavior from the person you're with because it's such a slippery slope, you know. One day the person acting jealous and the next day out of jealousy and anger they do something to you and you end up in the hospital or something. So no, I will not, definitely not advocate jealousy in any relationship as a form of or a sign of love and affection.
Yes, it definitely is not. Marilyn, I see you're back with us. You confirm that you're hearing us, and let's hear from you. So we're talking about intimate partner violence and what some of the warning signs that a partner might be abusive. Do you want to take a shot at that?
Um, the attitude towards you
Hmm.
could be one of the areas. They're acting different and more than normal. They're aggressive. They have aggressive behaviors. Um, Having difficult sleep in getting to sleep.
And this would be more
Sometimes
from the
so,
the victim or the perpetrator.
the perpetrator,
Okay.
yeah, the
Okay.
person would be withdrawal.
Hmm.
They're not associating, so you would know that something is wrong. The person is not being themselves.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks so much for sharing that. So we're gonna move on to the next question, and it relates to the way that women who are staying within violent relations are often viewed. So, what do you believe are some of the reasons that women remain in these abusive relationships? Why do you believe are some of the reasons to
Because
remain in abusive?
they think it's a normal thing because maybe they grow up in an abusive relationship, family relationship is being abused all the time. So they think they it's normal for them to be in a abusive relationship. Um, they have family, they have the children, and they don't have no other ends, no other way of getting the needs for the family. So they stay, and also they don't have a job. They got no source of income. So I think is in need, and they think the person would change if they stay also.
Right. And just to add to what Ms. Marlin just said, Akola, apart from financial stability and exposure, I think oftentimes it comes down to our self esteem as well and our mental state. Because these women are in this situation, they their value and their self-worth would have been reduced to almost nothing, that some of them feel that, you know what, they are
They can't.
unable to go out there and do something for themselves, right? So they just stay because they forgot their value, and mentally they're in such a bad place, they feel stuck.
Yeah, God, I am. I have one of a young woman I working with. She her family. She's been abused since she's a little girl in her family life, and her husband abused her when she and her husband left. The next guy that she take abuse her also. So it's like a trend. So right now she's not with anybody because she's afraid to get into a relationship because it looks like it would not finish, it not end because she already into relationship and same thing happened.
Yeah, it's certainly very true that those who have grown up in violent environments, they tend to have those patterns repeated in their later lives. And that's why early intervention is so important. And persons require the support that they need to really kind of change a lot of those negative patterns. So that definitely
Yeah.
is something that's needed. So there is a tendency for women or victims of abuse to be the ones who are usually on the receiving end of stigma. Why do you think that there's this blame being put on the abused for staying rather than the abuser for abusing?
I think
we're living in a society started to say that persons are just more focused on being judgmental rather than being somebody helpful or somebody who could lend a shoulder to that person. And this is the reason why this stigma continues to exist because of what is being promoted in our culture or society as to speak, right? It's not, we have the laws to protect these persons and so on. But yet sometimes you find when you go to the station, the officers, they make certain remarks even like, hey, all this time and you still there? These are the little things that contribute to the stigma overall, blaming the victim. But they, as I said, they don't stop and try to put themselves in the person's shoe to wonder why. Yeah, it's,
But then we could, yeah. But then we could also, we could go the distance. But if the person is not ready to move away, if we can't get them to move away, because I have a situation. I get the mother and children away from this guy. He even get locked up, and she still went back a couple months after to the same relationship.
yeah, just to add to what you're saying there, Marlon, I think it comes on back to her psychological state and the support group as well. Because oftentimes when these persons come out of these relationships, what sort of psychological help is being offered to them? What sort of support group is in place? Most times you have, sometimes if you're lucky, you have family members supporting you and encouraging you to take it one day at a time. But more than likely, there are situations where you're gone home back to your parents, and your parents was they're so traditional that they want you to go back with your husband because they're trying to save face and these sort of things, right? So yeah,
It was so true now for the other race. It's so true because this young woman, she was a Hindu, and her family didn't accept her because her children them are from African descent. So that's why she keep going and moving from this one to
right.
that one. Eventually, she had to go back to Bordis and start all over.
Yeah, if the right support is not there, I think it's really hard for these women to get out of this sort of situation. Indeed.
That's so true.
Yes, that's very true. Support definitely is a very, very big factor in ensuring that women be able to not only leave abusive relationships, but stay away from them. And another factor that we didn't really touch on also is that a lot of women feel pressure to stay in relationships because of economic dependency. Particularly if they're in a relationship wherein the male partner is the only one that's working, and they've made the woman dependent on them. It makes it worse if they have children because they have to provide for all of those needs. So leaving a relationship they'll often consider whether they would be able to support both themselves and their children if they leave. And a lot of the times, the decision to leave is just not economically feasible for them. And so the support again really comes back here, because if it is that family members or friends can really kind of chip in, whether it's to provide accessible housing or food for a few months or something to help ease the burden and the pressure that women can feel when it comes to escaping violent relationships. So I just thought that was an important bit to add there. So,
Yeah.
Martina, I know you mentioned a bit about the social attitudes surrounding intimate partner violence and how the reporting system can often be traumatic for survivors of violence. For instance, as you said, if they go to report at the police station, the stigma that might be perpetrated and stuff against them. So, when it comes to, I know we're talking about women, but the reality is that anyone can be a survivor of intimate partner
Yeah,
violence, and this includes men. So there's a lot of stigma when it comes to men who experience abuse. What do you think are some things that can be done to ensure a safe space for male victims to come forward?
I think they could have committees or groups, if you want to call them, men support groups. Is one um, area that we could work on so that the men could feel safe to come out and speak up against these repulsive acts as well. In the whole, I think what needs to be done is a safe space. These acts, when, if anybody is going through a situation that we're speaking of, what needs to happen is, in the whole, we just need to create a safe environment for these people where they can feel safe enough to come out and say, well, I am being I'm being abused, whether it be a man or a woman or whatever gender you identify as, right? We just need to create safe space. I think men group, women's group, um, or organization or committee, and more awareness as well, because men are humans too, right? They have feelings. And just as there are abusive men, there are abusive women out there. The latest example would be Johnny Depp being brave enough to come out and talking about what he had experienced. And I can remember one of the record playing and Amber saying that, who's going to believe you? I am a woman. Who's going to believe that me? I would do this to you, right? And from that point that she made there, all that I could have thought is that we have made our society, we have made it so hard for men to come forward and speak their feelings and to speak the truth about these things, that they would rather not say anything at all. But we need to work on creating safe space so that they could be brave enough to step forward and say, well, hey, I'm going through this situation too, and something has to be done about it as well.
Yes, certainly.
Yeah,
There definitely needs to be that safe space for men to be able to come forward with their cases of abuse and have them dealt with in a survivor and trauma focused friendly ways so that they don't constantly feel re traumatized or feel like they can't come forward because of the stigma
Right.
that is often perpetrated against them. So I know you just mentioned a bit about persons of different gender and sexual minorities. So while often ignored, LGBT persons also experience and enact IPV. Do you think responses around this should look different?
why? I mean, why? I No, I do not. I do not think so. If you are guilty of the crime, then you need to do the time, regardless of what is your sexuality or what gender you identify as. I was thinking about this just this morning. If someone is to feel when they appear before the court, would it matter if it's a man, a woman, a bisexual, a lesbian, or a gay? No, the law don't look at it like that. You still, if it is the case where you have to 6 months, a year, whatever time you got to do it, then you got to do it. So why then should this situation be treated differently? If you are guilty of being abusive against your spouse, irregardless of what your sexuality is, then you should be treated according to law, whatever it is the law says. That's just my take on it. I know it's a sensitive topic to some, but if you do the crime, you gotta be prepared to do the time.
Yes, I completely understand that. And it also comes back again to like cultural attitudes and how those really shape our responses. Because again, similarly to how men are often stigmatized when they come forward with abuse, those who are in same sex relationships, when they come forward with experiences of abuse, they often face discrimination not only on the account of their gender but their sexuality and all these things. So I think it's really important for us to try to contextualize these conversations and bring them in the fact that
Yeah.
abuse, regardless of
Yeah.
who is doing it or
This
who's
is the
experiencing
door.
it, is wrong, and we really need to ensure that all persons can gain the type of support that they need.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
Marlon, I think I saw Marlon here just now. Would you like
Did
to
we lost her?
ask the question
Oh,
as
she's
it
here.
relates?
Yeah, for yeah, I endorse what the young woman was saying for survivors for IPV should have a safe space, and they should also provide training for them to
Mhm.
empower them, and to support them themselves.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So, Marlon, would you
Yeah.
mind expanding a bit on what support you would like to see be provided to survivors of intimate partner violence?
A lot of times they don't have nowhere like a safe space, somewhere where they could go and they could be at least for a couple months till they catch yourself. Because a lot of times they don't have anywhere to go and they have to go back into the same environment. I feel if they get a environment where they could go and be empowered, so they could go back into society and get a job, gain some knowledge to go back and whatever area you empower them in, they could go and get a job and be able to work and maintain themselves. And not because they are trans or they from the K-pop, they must be able to live comfortable like others, because
I
we are
certainly,
all human.
yes.
So true.
Yeah.
Martina, what support
So
would you like to see be provided to survivors of IPV?
Well, definitely mental health support is important. Added to what Marlon would have said, shelters for these ladies or the guys as well, because sometimes some of them they have nowhere to go. Mothers they have children, and so they're pressured and staying in that relationship because of that. But apart from that, we need to make sure that they return to a healthy headspace. They're mentally they are not a prisoner of that experience, so they could heal. We provide the mental health help so they could heal and carry on as best as they could possibly can.
Yes, mental health support is so very important, the early stages, so that persons don't have to really carry that trauma with them for long periods of time. So I certainly do agree with that. So, Marlon, Martina, is there anything that I might not have asked that you feel important to highlight, or any lasting thoughts that you would like to share? Marlon?
I think we should also pay a lot of interest in children, especially the school children that is in school, and you don't know what's going on with them in school, what's going on in school, especially the parents them who working from whole day, and then when they go home, they don't have time to find out how the child spend the day, what's going on. I think we should pay more emphasis in this from now. Start teaching our boys and our girls a lot of things that we didn't get when we was younger. 'Cause for instance, I have my grandchildren, and every minute they call me. Sometimes when I can't handle it, I gotta call Stacy, because so many things happening in the school unknown to parents. And these young women and girls don't want to and boys don't want to tell the parents. They prefer tell a grandmother or a auntie. So we got to educate each other and them a lot more. And a lot of them going through mental health, but they don't know it's mental health they're going through. Cause I dealing with a young woman. She's only 20, and this girl cut up she both hands. Why you cut up your hand? When I get problem, I cut up my hands. And she's only 20 years old. So she's having a lot of issues and she don't have nobody to talk to. So I say I'm your mother from today. So we need to focus a little more on the youths that coming up right now.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. They definitely do need a lot of support as they're trying to navigate their own growth, their experiences with
Yeah.
technology. Martina, do you have anything
Um,
you'd like to discuss that we might not have touched on?
I just want to say that, well, earlier I did mention that this is something that I am passionate about, and I would have had experience in this area as well. And I just wanna share how I actually got out of this, and to come back to the point where I was making, that your mental health is so important. One day it was same, it was stressful, and my self worth was negative, at the negative zero. There's, you know, um, and I was looking at television, and there was Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey was on, and at the end of his show, he said, "Look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you're a queen, you're worthy of love." And I just want to say to anybody who is going through or experiencing this, that you are worthy of love. You're a queen, you're a king, and you do not deserve to be ill treated in such a way. And I just hope that if you are going through this, I hope that you find strength to get out of it. And tomorrow is a new day. I know it's going to look bleak and it's going to look like, what am I to do? But tomorrow's a new day. When I got out, I attended university. I started over everything from scratch. And if I can do it, I think anybody can do it. You just gotta be willing to take the first step out of that situation. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And you're very right that it can take a lot of thought, and just that first step can be difficult, but it's so necessary in order to ensure that you get where you need to be, which is away from violence in a safe environment. So I'm really happy to hear that you've managed to accomplish that for yourself. And I hope that those who are watching would have found some inspiration, not only in your story, but in the perspectives that both of you had shared here today. So thank you once again for being here and for sharing your thoughts on this very, very important topic. Look forward to continue to engage with you both. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank
You
you.
too.
Bye.
Okay, bye bye.